Most people believe that learning languages is kind of a talent, something you either have or you don't. And if you struggle at the beginning, it's easy to conclude you simply don't have that ability. But after decades of language learning, I've come to the conclusion that it's not talent that matters. It is transformation. The real question is not whether language learning is a talent, but what actually changes when we go through the process. I didn't grow up multilingual. Everything I've learned came later through studying, living, and working in different parts of the world. Over time, and in this case, over 52 years, I've learned languages in many different contexts. In universities, undergraduate, graduate, master's, PhD, in professional environments, working for large corporations like General Electric, and in everyday life, as well as 33 years as a professor of management here in Japan. So whatever ability I have today, it's not something I acquired as a child. It's something that developed gradually through repeated exposure to new languages and cultures. And what I discovered is that language learning is not about talent. It's about transformation. Learning your first foreign language as an adult is the most difficult step. And that reason is often misunderstood. Most people think it's difficult because of grammar or vocabulary or age, but that's not really the issue. The real difficulty is that you're being forced to reorganize how you think. You're trying to express ideas using a completely different system. And that creates resistance. It feels unnatural. But what's really happening is that you're beginning to form a new linguistic and cultural identity. That discomfort is something almost everyone experiences in the process. You feel slower. You feel less precise. Sometimes you feel like you've lost control over your ability to express yourself. And many people interpret that as failure. They think, I'm not just good at languages. But in reality, something deeper is happening. Your brain is adapting. And during that process, your performance temporarily declines. So what feels like a failure is actually a necessary stage of development. If you don't go through that stage, you're not really learning the language. After you go through this process a few times, something very important begins to happen. You don't just learn languages, you learn how to learn them. You begin to recognize patterns, not just in the language, but in your own learning process. You understand what works for you. You also become more comfortable with not understanding everything immediately. And that's a major shift because now you're not reacting emotionally to difficulty. You're working with it. There is also a physical dimension to this process. The brain is not static. It changes through use. When you learn a language, you're training your brain to process new kinds of information. You learn to hear sounds that previously sounded identical. You adjust to new rhythms of speech, prosody. And you become comfortable with grammatical structures that may be very different from those in your own language. At first, this feels overwhelming, but with time, it becomes natural. But the most important change is not linguistic, it's psychological. As you learn more languages, you begin to see that your way of understanding the world is not the only way. Different languages reflect different assumptions, different ways of organizing reality. And over time, you become more flexible. You begin to understand that what we call reality is often just our perception of it. So when people say language learning is a gift, I strongly disagree, because calling it a gift hides the real process. It suggests that some people can do it and others cannot. But what I've seen in my own experience and in others is that this ability develops over time. Surely all successful polyglots will confirm this. It comes from effort, from persistence, and from a willingness to go through the discomfort of change. And that's something that is available to anyone at any age. So if you're struggling with your first new foreign language, or even beyond your first language, don't give up. See it as a process of transformation, and what seemed difficult to you in the past will suddenly seem natural and easy. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.
If you're passionate about languages and cultures, head over to polyglotdreams.com, where you'll find my memoir, A Life in 30 Languages. It's available in multiple languages, including dual language editions and versions with audio narration, perfect for learners who want to combine reading and listening for deeper study. In this memoir, I share my adventures in 99 countries to the date I wrote the book, along with insights on how to learn languages best, drawn from my own experiences and research as a professor of cross-cultural management. Whether you're a polyglot, a language learner, or simply curious about the world, it's a resource to inspire and inform. So don't forget to visit Polyglot Dreams, the link is in the description, to explore the memoir and expand your language horizon.